Greetings, this is Wayne Irie from New Sensation out of Bermonstrong. When I'm in any part of the world, I always listen to the World Internet Radio on the Godfather Keep It Real Sunday show on skylineradio.org.uk. He is the voice with news, reviews, music and interviews from around the globe. Keep listening. UK Platinum Selector Wayne Irie say respect to the Godfather. Bless.
My father said, son, I have something to say. And what he told me I'll never forget until my dying day. He said, son, you are a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay.
Yes, people, my name is Ramzi from Dudley West Midlands. I will be talking to the legendary Godfather on Skyline Keep It Real show about my sound system days and much, much more on Sunday, the 2nd of March 2025 at 1 p.m. on skylineradio.co.uk. So don't miss out. Join me to hear much more on Sunday, the 2nd of March, 1 p.m. One love.
When I was young, my father said, son, I have something to say. And what he told me I'll never forget until my dying day. He said, son, you are a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Son, you'll be a bachelor boy till your dying day. When I was 16, I fell in love with a girl as sweet as can be. Then I remember just in time what my daddy said to me. He said, son, you are a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Son, you'll be a bachelor boy until your dying day. As time goes by, I probably will meet a girl and fall in love. Then I'll get married, have a wife and a child, and then be my third love. But until then, I'll be a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Oh yes, happy to be a bachelor boy until my dying day. Gonna say now, I'll be a bachelor boy, and that's the way to stay. Alright, happy to be a bachelor boy until my dying day. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, indeed. The song called Bachelor Boy. We're going to speak to Ramzi in a short while here right now.
I just don't know what to do with myself. Don't know just what to do with myself. I'm so used to doing everything with you, planning everything for two, when I'm not with you. I just don't know what to do.
Good afternoon, Ramzi.
Yeah, good afternoon, Godfather.
Tried you earlier, but
Yeah, I think I was still enjoying the tune that you was playing. Wicked, Max Romeo, back to back tune that. Yeah. Good afternoon.
yes, sir, thank you for that. Yeah, man, enough respect. We're no stranger to music. Of course, we're both in the sound system industry from a long time. You're from Dudley, a little town in the West Midlands, and
Careful what you're saying now. Careful what you're saying now. That little tone. All right.
it's a little but Talawa. Let me finish. Little but Talawa. Because my understanding at the time, Dudley had a lot of influence with many sound systems and many places from the Midlands, because many people came to Dudley for their entertainment. So let me say, Ramzi, introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, well, as you said, Godfather, first and foremost, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you on your platform. You are a legend yourself, as we know. Skyline Radio, a platform that has given black people and black music a platform to actually express their music, throughout the Midlands. I mean, you're the pioneers of pirate radio station, along with other stations like PCRL back in the days when I was growing up. Yeah, so you guys have been instrumental in my lifeline, so to speak. But yeah, about myself, I mean, I'm from Dudley myself. Born in the '60s, a family of 6. My father came to England in the late '50s, I would say, before my mother came over to join him, and we lived in a big house in Dudley, which was one of these properties which they now call houses of multiple occupation, but black people were the pioneers of that, as we know. So back in the days, each one of the rooms in the yard was rented out to a family. So each family, mother, father and their children lived in one room, while the other rooms were occupied by other families. And that's how we kind of grew up back in the days in the '60s. So I'm a '60s child, early '60s. I'm not going to give away my age, but I'm pretty sure by the end of the conversation that we have today, people will suss out how old I am. So in the early days, that's how I grew up. My dad had a gram, what I call a blue spot gram, for those who were too young to remember what blue spot grams were, but they were grams that looked like cabinets. You kept your drinks in them, and on the other side of it, you had a record player with what they call a stacker, where you would stack the records up to 7 inches. You would stack them up on top of each other, and they'd all drop onto the turntable one after the other. And my introduction to reggae music was really stemmed from there, and listening to other bigger people that kind of like associated with my family playing music.
Let me interject you there. What would you class as the most important furniture? What would you class as the most important furniture in the front room?
Now you're talking. Well, you had your gram. The gram had to be there, But remember, I wasn't in the front room because the front room was rented out to another family, so I was in the bedroom. But now that when these families moved out and we had the house to ourselves, in the front room you had the gram, and then you had what we would call a little wine bar, where where that was a drinks cabinet where the cherry beer and the snowball and the baby sham was kept. On top of that you had the old plastic pineapple ice holder. So it was a traditional. Well, tell the truth, my mother still have for you, My mum still got hers, and we can't go in there unless it's a Sunday afternoon.
All right, okay. The tradition still goes on.
Yeah, the tradition's still there, and it was their little haven, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like the only time my mother used it was for prayer meetings, So when the church people came, that was the only time we could get in there, We could always pop our heads around the door, but we couldn't actually set foot. It was a sacred room.
Some people had their front room, their special rooms with a lock on it. You couldn't go in there with the door. Yeah.
Well, you're talking up to now, every now and again I go, Mom's and it's locked. So it's not changed.
Yeah, but the question was asking now, what was the most important furniture in the front room, and it was the gram.
The gram, yeah. And then the glass cabinet.
Yeah, the glass cabinet, but the gram was first. But so in those days we had, as youngsters, we grew up around our mum and dad tradition from Jamaica. I suppose it came from Jamaica to that special room, because there was a special room in the house. Of course, the funch room. And we'll never forget the funch room. So how did it start for you in terms of as a young person hearing those music in the funch room? How did you, in your mind, how do you vision things to come as a youngster?
All right. Well, I'm not going to hold back, you know what I mean? And I'm really talking to it was right. My dad was a pub man. My dad used to go pub. My mom used to go church.
Right.
So there was a difference in terms of what kind of music we would hear. For example, I'm going to call out some tunes now. It's enough man. It'll bring a smile to enough man's face. You remember Judge Dredd?
Right.
Right. Judge Dredd. I mean, them were the artists, and My Boy Lollipop and Jimmy Cliff's. Them were the kind of tunes that my dad would play in the front room on the gram. On a Sunday night, mum would play Jim Reeves or country gospel tunes. So there was a blend of my dad's music, and then there was my mom's music before we, as a family, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my sisters, before we started to buy our records. But by then the gram was coming to end of life anyway, so that's further afield, you know what I mean? So, but that's how it was. And Dudley's got a history, and I don't want to detract from your question. But Dudley's got a history that a lot of people don't know, and this is where, I can educate some people. And these are facts that you can actually Google when you're done talk to me, right? But Dudley was one of the first towns, in the country that faced a race riot. Okay, Notting Hill was the first in 1958, I believe, 58, 59. But in 1962, there was a race riot in Dudley where the Teddy Boys and skinheads were patrolling the towns at night time in particular. And like the first generation of Caribbean people that came to Dudley in the 50s and early 60s were subject to many attacks by these Teddy Boys and skinheads. And in the house that we lived in on Vicar Street in Dudley, which is still there today, right on the corner, that was my dad's first house. It was a big house with about 6-7 rooms in it.
Okay.
And that house was attacked on numerous occasions, where bricks were thrown through the windows, to the point where my dad had to put the wardrobes in front of the downstairs windows to stop bricks coming through. So, that's how that was the environment that they grew up in. So it was very hostile towards black people. So that's what kind of made them congregate as a community to find their own space. And this is where a lot of the house parties, blues and so forth were kind of like established back in the days in Dudley. And it's from as early as the 1960s, where they had no choice. They couldn't go anywhere else. They couldn't go to a pub. They couldn't go to a club. So they had to make their own entertainment. So that was a scene back in the days. That was a scene back in the days.
And back in those days, not many people had cars neither at the time.
No. Well, my dad could never drive, so everything was like public transport. But those them that had cars were fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a form of luxury to have a car back in them days.
100%.
Yeah.
If you have a Zephyr.
The big Zephyr, them.
Yeah, man. That was what man. Yeah, them was a car. Them was rolling in, because I see the old pictures. I see the old pictures of the Zephyrs.
Yeah.
And the
talking about that, my dad did have a Zephyr as well. It didn't have a middle. It's them long seats, front and back. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We get our 10 people in one. If one of them's in Jamaica now, it'd be like the classic as a minibus.
That's true.
Them want people carrying them.
That is true. So during all that time now, we're going to move forward right now. During all that time, and in terms of listening to different types of music, your mom's gospel songs, your dad's reggae songs, obviously mom and dad got used to each other's songs, so each one knew what each one liked. In your time, your favorite artist?
In my time,
growing
as
up,
a youngster, I'd have to say, first and foremost, Bob Marley.
Okay.
Delroy Wilson, Dennis Brown, Barry Brown, Leroy Smart, and I'd say Frankie Paul. Them are the guys that really I steered towards in terms of their music and what they were singing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going on to groups, you got the groups like the Heptones and Mighty Diamonds. Another favorite of mine was the Cables. Not very weren't mainstream, but Cables. If you listen to some of the Cables tunes, I mean, they were a good group that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say later on in life, Twinkle Brothers.
Okay.
But that's just a handful. That's just a handful.
Okay.
I could talk more about my favorites.
As you talked about those people, can you remember the first record that you bought?
Good question, because as we all know, as many people would know anyway, if anybody's listening online, and we all know that we lost a soldier from our reggae fraternity, sound system fraternity, I should say, a few months ago, just before Christmas. Rastafus, Auto Messiah Esquire, very, very, very good friend of mine that I've known since I was about 12 years old, because his family lived on my road. And many a times in the summer holidays, he would be there, and I'd be mixing with Dolphus. I mean, I'm going to tell you something about myself that many people don't know before I answer your question about my first record. When I met Dolphus in my bedroom, I mean, I shouldn't tell people this, right? I had posters of David Cassidy and Michael Jackson.
The Sundown Kids.
And yeah, them kind of man, them that's because
Okay.
Can I remember, so I come from a generation where the only music we could hear was what was on Radio 1 or the local radio stations. You spent most of your Sunday afternoons, recording the top 10, on your cassette recorder, and pausing it when the DJ talk, and that's how I grew up. So I grew up kind of listening to the, gravitating to that kind of music. And then when I met Dolphus, he might tell me about this reggae music and this Rastaman, Bob Marley, and he kind of opened my eyes. And then when he kind of said to me, there's an album that you would like, and you know what album it was? It was a Frontline album. Remember the Frontline albums that used to come out in series?
I remember the first one. I remember the first one by Virgin Records, 69 pence.
Yes, that's right. And I still got that to today with the same sticker. Yeah, if you got yours, the stickers on the corner, in it, the right-hand corner, 69 pence.
Yeah.
And I think I bought that from. And it was. You listen to the tracks on that album. Every track on the album's a killer. Every track on the album's a killer. But that was my very, very first album, and it was him that told me to buy that. And then he told me to buy the Bob Marley Rastaman Vibration LP.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the first two that I bought, and I think I bought another one after that, which was a Bunny Wheeler, and then from there it just built from there. But my very first one was the Frontline LP, and then my second one was the Rastaman Vibration by Bob Marley.
Right, Ramzi, let me do. I'm going to do something here I've never done before. Now I'm going through the WhatsApp, and I can hear a buzzing noise in it. So what I'm going to stop it right here and bring you back on the original line, so we don't get that interference. Is that okay with you?
Not a problem.
Stay where you are. All right?
All right,
okay.
bless.
SkylineRadio.org.uk, Godfather here talking to Ramzi as we change the frequency because we're having interference on the other side. Is it getting straight back? Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, as we were saying before, the situation regarding your first time in the first album. Continue the conversation with you and Dolphus.
Yeah, so Dolphus was a man that was instrumental to my upbringing and my life. To be honest, I mean, he then went from there to tell me about sound systems, and I didn't have a clue what this man was talking about. And then he invited me to a blues party that he was doing in West Bromwich, just off of Beaches Road, West Bromwich. So many people, again, listening will know where I'm coming from, because these blues parties in West Bromwich by Messiah Squire was legendary blues parties, and they were one of the pioneers back in the days that could fill a house every single time they strung up that sound. And I was just blown away. I was just blown away with how it all worked, and seeing a man around the what I call the Eiffel Tower, just mixing down the music and entertaining the people. That it gave me the inspiration to want to build my own sound. So if you want to move on and talk about, how I came into owning a sound and building a sound, it was man like
Rust Alphas that gave me that kind of inspiration and motivation to go and do that.
Okay.
So that's really, my journey with Rust Alpha up until, when he passed.
Well, how did your sound experience really did start when you started to go forward?
I did it. All right. Well, to build the sound, we had to build the sound, and everything was handmade, and we weren't expert carpenters, but when we looked at the way that the sound system was constructed, it was fairly straightforward from what we thought.
So basically, you could put a box together and put it that way.
Yeah. We built a box then. That's where we used to go. To me and my crew. All right, me and my crew Duane Brooks, Blackie, Stephen Johnson, them one them, maximum respect, them are lifelong friends. I'm still out there. Some of them sort of them drop out over the years, but them are the man them that I started my sound system days with, and one like Raza, Marlon, them and them, can't left them out, because we've been on submissions,
Yes.
So when we had to build our sound, first and foremost, we needed wood. So not to incriminate myself, I'll just say that we acquired the wood.
Yes, like many other sounds, just like many other sounds.
All right, so at night time now we have to go get the wood. So we acquired the wood, and these were like big sheets of like 8x4 chipboard. These weren't hard. It wasn't hardwood like what man used to build sound.
It wasn't plywood.
No, it was chipwood. Chipboard.
Okay.
Chipboard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we could get our hands on. So it was chipboard. So me Bridget Duane Brooks, right? He lived with his mom. He had no dad in the house. So we decided that's where we're going to build the boxes, and then we had to go and get all the tools to do that. So we used to go to the local DIY and acquire the tools, and then go back to the yard and start building. And we was building this box, and never forget it. It's a funny story. We built the box in the kitchen. In his mom's kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Yeah. Them big whole dry box then, because you build one apart.
I hear you still, but in the kitchen.
That's the only place we could build it, because it was a small yard.
Do you know how many women? You know how many women go mad at that statement? In the kitchen.
At the kitchen, we're not telling no lie. Godfather. So we build the box in the kitchen now. And he said, we are talking. If them don't understand, explain to them what we used to call a house of joy. The box is a big house of joy with a big 18-inch speaker in it. One speaker in it, but the box will be big like a wardrobe. So we build the box now, and she said, she start question, say, take the box out of my kitchen, and the box come out, because we're building this box now for about 2.5 weeks.
So let me ask you a question. So where was the backyard? Did she have a backyard or? The
backyard never. We couldn't build it out there, man. And the rain fall and things like,
But majority of people built their boxes in the backyard. And when it rained, we covered it up. I hear you still.
Hear me out, because there was no father in the yard. You think if his daddy didn't have the yard, we could have done that? No, it's because his mum. So we just took liberty in the situation. You took his mum for kindness, for weakness. That's right. You can say that. Well, God bless Mrs. Brooks, because you know what, when I look back on it, we owe you, because you set us up on a journey. But we built the box now, and she was giving us pressure to get this box out of the yard. So we knew we had to do a few more pieces, because the box was wobbling, so we had to firm up the box and open it up and put some more stabilizers inside it to stop it like rocking from side to side. So we build the box now. As she said, yeah, Mrs. Brooks, we're going to take the box. We're going to take out the box this afternoon. We're going to take it outside.
Here he goes. I think I know what you're going to say to me now. Go ahead. You built the box, done the box.
It was too big to go. The box was too big to go to. The box was bigger than the door frame. So we thought, we have to get this box. So we have to dismantle the box now and bring it outside and remantle it back outside. But it was funny, man.
Poor Miss Brooks.
Yeah. But so we built the one box. And we acquired some other smaller boxes, the horns. We used to get the horns out the petrol stations and the parks, where there was horns in the ceiling. We used to just borrow them for the night,
Okay.
And then that was the making of our first sound system. Where we had one big speaker box, we had a couple of like mid range, and then we had the horns for the top section, and then we had we acquired some amplification. which is only about 150 watt amplifier, and then our first session, we had a youth club called Bailey's Hall in Dudley.
Bailey's, I heard of Bailey's.
Bailey's Hall, legendary place. You know, man like Matumbi and what was them kids called again?
Musical youth.
Yeah, musical youth. Yeah, them people were down there. That's where they did all their rehearsals down there. So I'm going back a long way with reggae music in Dudley and how many people it kind of brought out, you know, from the scene. But we used playing at Bailey's, and so, you know, back them days you needed transport, and people need to understand that, you know, when you got DJs now and you got selectors and so forth, you know, the life of a sound man can't be compared to what some of these guys are now doing, carrying around laptops and USB sticks and all sorts, you know what I mean, to play the music. When you had a sound system, you had to be organised, because if you never have a van man to move your song, you know what I mean, you couldn't play your music. So a van man was an important part of your organisation. Mm-hmm. So we never had a van man. So we moved the box from Green Park Road at Dudley. If anybody from Dudley is listening, it was Green Park Road and Mission Brooks live, and we had to move that speaker box, the whole Sajai where we built, we had to move it to Bailey's Hall, which is in the town centre. And the only way we could do it was to get a Tesco shopping trolley. And we put the box on a Tesco shopping trolley and moved it. We were determined to play. Hear me out, because we have to tell you a story.
Well, how many trolleys? Let me ask you a question. Let me interrupt there. How many trolleys did you use to move the House of Joy?
Well, one trolley, but 3 man. Yeah, one trolley, but 3 man had to hold, 2 on one side and 1 at the back, and we pushed the Tesco shopping trolley with the box on top of it. You know what I mean? Wow. And I had to keep resetting it every time it was going to fall off. You know what I mean? But that's the only way we could get to Bailey's Hall. And then we had the other trolleys with the other bits and pieces. But that's how we moved our sound system. The first song where we built, that's how we moved it.
In Wolverhampton, well, I don't know, there's many stories to be told about how sound system did their thing. What happened to Mr. Singh? Did Mr. Singh, any Singhs in Dudley had a van or what?
We were 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
I was 13 when I built the sound, 1976.
Wow.
75, 76 I'm talking. I'm going back 75, 76.
Right.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to tell you now, this is how people are going to work out my age. So I was 13. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we built our sound from school days, you know what I mean? And then the youth club is where we grew up in the youth club during our teens. And that's where we were playing the sound system, you know what I mean? And then we went from strength to strength. But that's how we started the sound system. And then when we got to the hall now, we just had to string up the sound. It would take us like maybe 10 minutes just to string it up, because there wasn't a lot to it. Back them days, all you did was throw down your wire, twist your wire, not a plug-in wire, twist wire.
Twist wire, the old-fashioned wire,
yeah. And then you just string it up, and then if something pop in the amplifier, 9 times out of 10 the fuse would blow because of the way we played it. So you just take out a cigarette box and you take off a piece of the silver paper to the cigarette box and rock around the fuse, and boom, you're gone again. And so man can relate to that, enough man can relate to that now, Godfather.
Yeah.
But man who I come from sound system days, who know me, I talk about, you know what I mean? Because that's how I used to drop it. And when you talk about when we upgraded the amp and got a valve amp, boy, a bag of trouble.
Bad.
Valve amp, when a valve blew up on you when you play your session, you know what I mean? And you have a spare valve, boy, silver paper, and I'll help you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they were in glass. They were like glass, little glass globes, and you couldn't get inside of them. You know what I mean?
What was the wattage of your first valve amp?
I think that was about 300 watts. It was about 400 watts. It wasn't too powerful. You know what I mean? But we got that from another sound who we linked up with. So from my first song was called Majestic Sound. That's the sound that we built in Mrs. Brooks' yard. It was called Majestic Sound.
Okay.
Majestic. That was our first sound. And then after a couple of years of playing at the youth club, which was like open to everybody from the area, so man from Wolves, man from West Brom, Smedic, Dudley, everybody used to come there. And there was a sound that decided from Smedic that they wanted to like join forces with us to kind of amalgamate their sound with ours. So Ozzy and them, Ozzy was one of the main man. Them and said, let's put our things together and just make one big song. And we called it Jessican.
Right.
So Jessican was my second. So we went from Majestic to Jessican, and the sound got bigger, and we got to an age where we were working, and so moving on 3-4 years, we left school and we got jobs, so we could afford to spend money on building a better system and buying tunes, buying more records, and so forth.
Interesting. Now, I think at that time when you were doing your singing at your U Club in Dudley, we had a U Club. It wasn't much of a U Club. It was more like a Friday night place in town, and it was called
Crib. Crib. We go down kill off enough song by a crib.
Did you?
Yeah, man. All the place. Ask them. Yeah, they look at bad boys trying over there. Whenever they call, I'm gonna call out them name because
call them names. Call the names.
Bojangles. You have a little bad boys from Bojangles, and they call them.
Bojangles was down at the Ozefields area. They were never a crib.
Okay, but we played it. I can't remember. We played. Was it Crab? Crab? We did play a crib.
Crib?
Was it Crab?
No,
was it Crab?
I don't think Crab did play. If I'm wrong, they'll let me know. But I don't think Crab did ever play at crib.
All right, call a name.
Lock City.
Yeah. It must have been them. But we know we played in crib. I can't remember the name. I said, yeah, but it could have been Lock City.
We were the original resident sound for that building at the time, and then after a while, everybody as you said in your place as well. Everybody came from different places to play in your place.
Yeah. But that was the beauty of growing up. There was you can't cross border. But if we went across a border, because of the way we grew up, I mean, you'll probably agree with this. That when you strung up against the next town, it was automatically going to be a clash.
Yes.
It was never billed as a clash, but that's what you did.
A clash with entertainment at the same time.
Yes.
And also love at the same time.
Yes, and who have the best DJ, Toaster, me call it.
Yeah.
No, I thought DJ, I thought
MC,
yeah.
Those are the good days. The youngsters today, and particularly those who walk with their laptops and their USBs, you ain't living the life of a DJ.
I'm not gonna knock. I wouldn't knock them. But to me, the love of vinyl, and it was only when vinyl started to become popular again a few years back that it forced me to go into my garage in my loft and dig out my vinyls and clean them up and realize, boy, I'm sitting on some gems here because them tune that I ain't heard for a long time. You know what I mean? So it kind of inspired me to go and see what I got because I've forgotten about it. But over the years.
Well, what I'm trying to say about the laptop and the USB, always respect the vinyls, no matter what. As you just said a while ago, those who've got their vinyls somewhere in the house, somewhere, hasn't been touched for a number of years, will start taking out their vinyls and probably haven't got a turntable and go and buy a turntable, just have a time of their own in their own personal space to bring back the memory that they used to have with them friends.
True. Maccabee make a tune, but if you've never played a 45, and if you listen to that Maccabee tune, every word is true.
Well, Maccabee did an interview with me, and we talked about the same subject as well. And, and I'm going to find it and let you hear it again. People hear it again.
Yeah.
He talked about why have people got their vinyls when it was vinyls why we are where we are today.
True.
And even today, we're talking about vinyls right now.
True.
Now, I sent you a clip of something in Japan. Did you have a look at it?
I didn't get the chance to look at it, but I'm very much aware of what's happening in Japan. It vexes me, and you know that I'm a man of many opinions, and I've been following what's been going on with the Jamaican reggae music, and we need to, as black people, we need to wake up. We need to wake up because many of the artists that we've grown up listening to and we enjoyed listening to are now walking with begging bowls in Jamaica.
Yeah. Because
of the way they were dealt with. And when I look at what's happening now, we've got other nations that are profiteering from their hard work, blood, sweat and tears. And I think it's wrong. And I don't know how to, I'm not here to put the world right, but You know, there's a whole heap of arguments about, you know, man buying represses and reissues and so forth that are coming out of Japan. But Japan, you know, don't quote me on it, but I could say it's one of the biggest reggae markets in the world right now, and that's a scary thought in terms of population versus what we got in Jamaica, and you know, Jamaican music is almost owned by the Japanese and Europeans, and you know, somewhere along the lines we messed up. You know, the Jamaican archives, you know, that went missing years ago in terms of like what they were holding in the archives in terms of all the music that was printed or pressed in Jamaica. No longer there.
In the beginning, in terms of music and the start of music, it was the Japanese was there from the beginning, though.
Yeah, I understand that, but you can't put them against someone like, you know, Cox and Dodd and Lee Perry and
in terms of production wise, yes.
No, you can't put them against them, and you know, I'd say it's wrong to, you know, Studio One. You know,
but these people that was behind the music industry in Jamaica, they were already the people who were doing the selling and so forth. You know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. In terms of the record shops and that.
Yeah.
And well, you could say that, but you know, if anybody knows anything about Jamaican record labels, and you look at the labels, you know, you could say, well, you know, the prime ministers had the wrong record label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man Leonard and man them have the record label.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the record label industry is another thing that, you know, I study a lot and I research it and get to, you know, understand how it works. And you know, when man gets a record with a white label on it with just writing on it, they don't understand. So a poor man press a record because he can't afford to buy a colour print to put on the record, so he just released it on a white label and all that. So I understand all that, and I understand how, like, you know, a lot of artists recorded in Jamaica, but they press to tune them over here on record night labels like Trojan and Punch and some of them other UK labels, because it was taking away the costs out of Jamaica. So a lot of artists never got paid because their tunes were like exported out of Jamaica into the UK and pressed in the UK, so they didn't realise, you know, what was being sold and how much money they'd made from their tunes and that. So there's a lot to understand behind the history of Jamaican music and the labels, and this is something that I take time out, you know, in my own time to get to understand and research it to understand, you know, what's happening.
A lot of artists have the same scenario of views and experience in terms of making a song and nothing's happening. It's gone to England and never heard nothing until someone comes back from abroad and says, your song that you've done, playing every night, etc. And then they get to realise that, you know, going back to the person they made the song with, they've asked them, and they say, well, we'll get in contact with the people in England and find out what's going on that time. They work it together. So nothing was said about it, because obviously for a man to take his issue to a court or to a lawyer in Jamaica, that was never going to happen.
No.
Financially, that was never going to happen. And that didn't just happen in Jamaica. It also happened in England as well.
Yeah.
People not knowing the industry, how it works, were kind of push one side. I don't say they were conned, but push sometimes. What you don't know, you don't know. But the greatest thing is to know. Many of them didn't know that situation.
Yeah, there's no copyrights or what I call PPL, which you have to have on music
at the time.
Play live music. There's none of that. So it's a shame that it's happened to the majority of the big Jamaican artists from back in the days, that they've never lived to reap the rewards from their hard work, blood, sweat and tears. You know what I mean? So, you know, going back to your question about the Japanese, you know what I mean? I take them with a pinch of salt in terms of what they're doing. And no, I haven't looked at the footage that you sent me just yet, but I am interested to look at it. So,
okay. Let's go to a question I asked you the other day. I'm going to say it to you right now. But there's a lot of people in tune here right now, and picking up from what you're saying, they're getting a vibes of how things were in Dudley. Let's put this one to you now. Tell me the name of the first big man sound in Dudley.
Why? Big question, that. Well, I can't leave all. All right. Well, going back to what I said to you earlier in terms of like what was happening in Dudley in the 60s, we had a man in Dudley, what is his name again? Buster. Buster, in name Buster, big fair skinned man from St. Elizabeth. Because we know St. Elizabeth compound because my mum used to know him. She's from St. Elizabeth. Okay. But he had a sound called Buster Sound. And he used to play mainly in the pubs around Dudley. There was a couple of pubs that allowed reggae music to be played in there. The most famous one was Johnny's pub down Dudley Port, going down towards Great Bridge.
Right.
And you had a man like him. All right, I think you interviewed his son, Inspector Lee, my good brethren, Inspector Lee from originally Jamashire, right. Esquire man. But his dad, Count Fire, Bad, he used to play down Johnny's pub, and Buster used to play down there. Yeah, Duke Neville, them big man, them used to play down there. But Buster was the original big man son from Dudley, and then after them, if you're asking me the question, the next big man sound that I grew up listening to in terms of a sound system was Mighty Prophet. Bitsy and Robert and Leroy and his crew, you know what I mean? But they had a sound called Mighty Prophet, and they used to play at Bailey's Hall Youth Club as well. But inside Bailey's Hall Youth Club, there was another brother, we call him Ardley Gale. So Ardley Gale, if you listen, if you're there out, or your family, big up, maximum respect, because them had tunes from back in the 70s. Them was like little pioneers. Ardley never really had a sound system as such. He used to just play a turntable and small speakers.
But they had music, though.
Yeah, man. I forgot what his sound was called. It'll come to me, but he had a sound system.
So, okay, I didn't get the name clearly. Can you just say the name clearly of this person you're talking about?
Ardley. Ardley Gale. Ardley. A-R-D. Ardley. Ardley Gale. Yeah, big man. Respect, maximum respect. Every time I see him, last time at a funeral some years ago, and I asked him about his music, what's he done with his vinyls, and he just smiled at me, you know what I mean? Because he knows what was coming next, you know what I mean? But then, man, them sitting down on a whole heap of tune. Most men are sitting on some grenade of music. Yeah. Ardley. Well, I'll say Ardley. I'm talking about he had a big sound from he was playing his sound from the early 70s. I didn't come until like 75, 76, so he had a collection way before me. Livewire. That's what it was called. Someone they call him Livewire.
Was he?
He used to call himself Livewire. Yeah. Yeah, them were the man.
I've heard that name.
It's probably, some of the names are recycled and people use names again. Yeah. So he was the original Livewire, you know what I mean? And then you have Mighty Prophet and you have Buster. And then after them you had my sound, you had other sounds that came through after me, in Dudley, Jalai and Joseph Banner and Gideon and crew, you know what I mean? Maximum respect.
So in Dudley itself, how many sounds are we talking about altogether then, basically? Quite a few.
Well, I've just mentioned you had Livewire, you had Mighty Prophet, you had Buster. Jalai, I just mentioned them, Julius Bannon and crew. You had Warrior Sound, Shidan and crew, and then you had a song called Weightlifter. Jeez, Alfie, and then Studiomatic them turn, then rebrand the Studiomatic. But them sounds were the sounds that we used to do battles with. You know what I mean? So it brings a smile to my face. But they were good days. You know what I mean? Because it was territorial. It was where you came from in Dudley. Dudley might be a small place, but it had its little postcodes.
Yes.
And each postcode had their sound system, which was the modern day gang. You know what I mean? so you see, man, have them they call gangs now are grown and them defend their postcodes. We were doing that back in the days, but we did it with sound systems.
Yes, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Music, yes.
Yeah, and music. So when we had our little dances now, the crowd was divided. So it depends on what postcode you came from. Depends on which side of the room you stood on, you know what I mean, to support the sound that was playing in that little corner. And when you look back on it now, it was good.
Yeah, and if you went into another territory, postcode and won that territory, you would gather another set of postcodes towards yours and go elsewhere as well to support.
Yeah.
And that's how sound system grew to the likes of, let's take for instance, the likes of the days of Coxsone.
Yeah.
The days of Jungleman.
Yeah.
And the days of Saxon.
Yeah.
Anywhere those three sounds went around England, they had the whole postcode.
That's right. Because they took sound systems to another level.
That's another level, of course.
Yeah. So we were regional. We were regional sound systems. Them were like national sound systems.
Yeah, man. But they were also,
that's how I saw it.
Well, they started where you started, and had the idea to travel out. Well, all right, we're coming to nearly to the close of the show right now. But
let me not tell you my story yet.
Well, you know something. We're gonna freeze it at a certain point right now because they're gonna, whether you know it or not, I'm gonna tell you right now. It's gonna be a part 2. Your part 2 will be on Easter Sunday.
Okay.
Easter Sunday, you're gonna be at the same place you're gonna be tonight, but you'll be playing with Archie D.
Steve, I know that, yeah.
And who's the other brother?
Birmingham and them.
Another brother. You three. There'll be 3 DJs.
Rockers
Roadshow.
Yeah. Good, my good version. Them. They all have live good still, you know what I mean? They all have live
wasn't
good.
Wasn't Rockers Roadshow part of 104 down in Birmingham?
That's right. So anybody who knows 104, you know, them clubs then back in the days, 104, Rialto, Frontline, Rosa something over the road from Rialto, yeah? Them were the places I used to hang out still, you know what I mean? So I know them still from over the years, and that's a good thing about being in the reggae sound system fraternities, that we just know each other from back in the days.
So you're going to be touching down with that interview will be on Easter Sunday. So I haven't put it on my calendar yet, but it just came to my head. I'll make space for that. Part 2 with Paul Ramzi, playing alongside the #1 champion, Revival, Onyx Bar champion, Archie D.
Bad boy.
Still waiting to have a proper interview with him on Sound System. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that interview with him to talk about the days of Solar System, the real Solar System.
I remember them from back in the days, you know what I mean? Because I don't think we crossed paths with each other, but yeah, I remember them. Them come out. They come out of a good stable. Yeah. They come out of a good stable, and we was always aware. We used to do our due diligence on many songs before we played them.
Yeah, because back in them days when we were growing up, we had to look at Solar System as the pioneer sound system for our time.
Yeah.
As much as we had.
You have one, like, I'm going to call a name now, right? That's going to be familiar with many Wolverhampton man, and I'll give him maximum respect. You know, God bless his soul, rest in peace. But Dread Lester. Yeah, that's all I'll say. And I know that anybody who come from a Dread Lester stable in a music, Maccabee, you know, another man we ever call him name. He's passed away now, but he was a good brethren of mine, Ipadeli. You know what I mean? I can't left out them man them because I know them man them were brought up by Dread Lester, and anybody that was around Dread Lester back in them days learned something. You know what I mean? You never moved away from Dread Lester without learning something. So, you know, I see Archie D in a light that enough man don't see him. I know where he's coming from. So, you know what I mean? You know, if you're up against Archie D, you better do your homework because he's come from a good stable. That's all I say. So when I play with Archie D, Maximum is me not push that man too deep, you know what I mean? Because I was at the before we done the conversation, right? I was at the final that he won, the Vinyl Thursday final. And you know what? He's a very, very smart selector. And man said, why? But Archie never really played not this. And you know what? I said, you know what Archie D played? I could play 80% of what Archie D played on that night to win that class. But what I couldn't do, what I haven't got, is 80% of what he's got in his box. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And what you got to understand, you know, in terms of how he delivered his songs that night, the DJs before that realized that when he came on and the way the crowd responded, for them to get that height, they would have to work 2 or 3 times harder than how they started in the beginning. But,
that's right.
But that's another one where, you know, that was another competition that many people would admire. We haven't seen the video of it yet, I don't know if we're going to see the video of it, or the audio. I don't know. But that would be a question that we need to ask Chaplin about. What happened to the you know what I mean? But respect to Archie D. But of course, April, bank holiday, Easter. Of course, we're going to have you back in. I'd be happy to have you back in the studio.
Okay.
If you're available.
Okay. Yeah.
Talk more about, so we can go back to what we talked about today and talk about the things that you want to bring forward as well. All right. So tonight is tonight. What to expect tonight?
Tonight, I'm just going to go in there with a party vibe mentality. I don't know DJ Sensei as such, as a person. I know of him. I know he works alongside you guys in the studio in Skyline. So, he's coming from a good pedigree. He's surrounded with music. He has all sorts of music, so he's exposed to it. He's got a history, I believe, of playing music abroad, hand the phone. So, it's not a clash.
No, it's entertainment. Yeah, but
it's entertainment.
It's entertainment.
So I'm going to try and play some favourites and bring back memories, and just entertain the crowd rather than playing personal tunes. But play tunes that the crowd will appreciate and can participate in, and That's how I see tonight, to be honest. And it's good that we've got the platform in Dudley. Dudley people have been long overdue to have something in the town to be able to go to. So it's a bright sunny day on a Sunday afternoon. So I'm hoping that people will turn out in the numbers. If you missed this one, then we got another one coming up on the bank holiday Sunday with Archie D and Rockers Roadshow. So
and yourself, yes,
and myself. So it's there's time.
Okay. Well, Ramzi, it's been an honor to have you on the show today, and I'm looking forward to part two, like many other people as well. I know the listeners have enjoyed this show right now. Anything you want to say before you go?
Well, I just want to thank you again, Godfather, for giving me the opportunity to tell my story and put Dudley on the map and make people realise that Dudley were instrumental. Like you said, we lick up with Talawa. We were the pioneer. One of the pioneers in the industry back in the 70s. We haven't even touched on the clubs that we had in the town way before Birmingham and Wolverhampton and many other towns around the Midlands and East Midlands had their club, but Dudley. I'll tell you about that in part two.
Okay.
Don't miss it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, and enjoy yourself tonight, and all those who are going to be down in Dudley tonight. Sensei, our Sensei.
100%.
Yeah, man. So it's all good. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll speak to you very soon.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good
respect.
evening.
Yes, Ramzi.
People, my name is Ramzi from Dudley West Midlands. I will be talking to the legendary Godfather on Skyline Keep It Real show about my sound system days and much, much more on Sunday the 2nd of March 2025 at 1 p.m. on skylineradio.co.uk. So don't miss out. Join me to hear much more on Sunday the 2nd of March, 1 p.m. One love.
Well, thank you very much. Good night to Ramzi from Dudley. Shout out to all the people in Dudley. Big up yourself. The story part 1, part 2 to come Easter Sunday. Gonna put it on my calendar. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting as well. We're gonna have a lot more people on this platform at 1 o'clock. When it comes to Skyline Radio on Sunday at 1 o'clock, what happens? We talk to many different people. And have I got some contacts to make in the next few weeks or so? It's going to be a very nice summer, sunny Sunday coming up very soon. Stand by for the new launch. I'll tell you more about that coming up soon. Shouting out to my engineer. Shouting out to Valentino as well. Shouting out to the Sunday team. Big up the captain as well. Train after me 2 o'clock till 5. 5 till 7:30. Valentino will be with you. 7:30 till 10, of course. Mr. Fix. And not forgetting as well our Vinyl Sunday specialist, Redskin Levi. Shouting out to the Vinyl Sunday team. End of every month. You know how it goes already. Vinyl Sunday to the world.
Sundays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. with The Godfather.
For the best quality and sound, check out The Godfather.